Good morning, everybody. It's Dave and Bo. We're out in the yard already. Bo's decided to kind of lay down, so I don't know if she'll follow us around today, but we'll find out shortly. Welcome to my weekly garden walk, and today's date is September the 28th, and it is 2024. We've got a very sunny day today. The marine layer has already burnt off. It's only around maybe 11 a.m. And last couple of days, we've had fantastic weather. We have literally had mid to high 70s. We've had overcast weather. We've had fog one morning. It was really wonderful after all that heat. But unfortunately, we've got some warm days ahead of us, some mid-90s in the upcoming week, but that's not going to slow us down. Anything under 100 seems cool now, and we'll go through, walk around the garden, see what's going on. Over here, since we're kind of starting off at the right here, and forgive my shadow, but it is sunny, we've got the zinnias that are looking terrific. Again, just have thrived so well this entire summer. And we've also got some Calibrachoa down here. The dwarf Eugenia, and that is a celebrity tree rose. We'll probably get one more cluster of blossoms this season before we have to cut it back for the winter. So we've got about 60 days, 75 days before we'll do pruning, and it only takes about 45 to 50 days for it to do a bloom cycle. So we will have one more set of blooms before the winter sets in. Take a look at that beautiful black mondo grass, some muscari, one bow, and we'll head back into the area here where we have our plants that need to be planted. Sometimes we just grab these at the nurseries because otherwise we're going to miss them. Things like flowering quince, this beautiful calicacia or elephant ears, lemon verbena. This is about to lose its leaves, but this is Stewartia. I've always wanted a Stewartia. Variegated dogwood. Some Alstroemeria. This is a seedling off of the macadamia tree that I'll show you later on in the garden tour. This is a really cool plant. One of my favorite fragrances is heliotrope. And this is a plant called Heliotropium. It gets a little bit larger than normal heliotrope, can get up to about 6 feet tall. Same type of fragrance, huge sprays of white or off-white flowers. Over here, the blood lily. This is that's Bo, and that's Bo's tail. So this is just finishing up. We'll see if we can get one last look at the bloom there. The size of the bulbs are absolutely gigantic. It does like it very much on the dry side, so this is not a bulb for areas where we get regular watering. We've got the blooms finishing, and then the new foliage is just coming up. Now the foliage on this particular plant is going to get about 2.5 to 3 feet in length. So I normally put this up out in the rose garden in an area where the sprinklers don't hit it, and this is it just cascades down. I put it up on several bricks, and so it's really terrific. It's been a terrific bulb for us this year. The normal Hemananthus, I have that too, and I just don't know where to put it out in the yard because we don't want it to sunburn. It does need a pretty shaded area. But that's what Hemananthus normally looks like, and it has a white flower to it rather than the red. So we're going to take a look out at the rest of the garden. I did plant this fern a little bit over a week ago now. This is something that had been transplanted from an area that got a little bit too much sun, and so now it's in the deep shade. We've got some blooms or buds headed up on the pieris. This is a white bell-like flower. We did go to Upland Nursery this week and we got a couple cool plants. One is a variegated saxifraga, which is going to be back here. I thought that would add some nice foliage contrast with some of the dark foliage, and it would also be kind of similar to bow. Then over here, we've got a begonia, and the name is on the container. So hold on, let me turn it around. Begonia versicolor. I'm looking at putting that one out in the rose garden. And then this one is a trailing plant. So it's going to fill in back over in this area here. The geranium, beautiful blooms on that. And also look at the shape and color of that beautiful conifer. That I got from a 1-gallon container. We've got some diamondia. This has a gazania-like flower, but it is held right to the foliage. Spring and summer bloomer, great for rock gardens, and just lasts forever. That was the Amaryllis belladonna. We're gonna leave those foliage the way, or the dead blossoms the way they are for right now. I'm not gonna pull them out. I will cut them back to the base of the bulb in the next week or so. We did cut a lot of these Shasta daisies back the other week, and you can already see a lot of the new foliage coming on for the winter time, so they'll be nice and compact. We have the French sorrel over here. I did order, if I didn't tell you, some white daylilies from, ironically, White Flower Farms, and also some galanthus bulbs. That is lemon balm. Melissa officinalis is the botanical name there. And look at all the blossoms coming up on the daylily. So that's going to look really good. The pittosporum and Japanese maple, the impatiens, are still doing well. And remember, we had the Amaryllis belladonna over here that didn't come up as early as those others did, so we have a really nice extended bloom time on them. Again, we're looking at just a couple of days away from October, and we still have Amaryllis belladonna, so that's really cool. Other than that, that may be all that's really going on in this flower bed. That is Rose Gemini, and that's going to be about the end of that bloom cycle for that rose. But again, we'll get one more bloom cycle in before the winter time. Japanese maple shishigashira, the variegated geranium. We do have, I don't know if this is the best angle to see it, we have one off blossom on the Magnolia Elizabeth. So just to give you a preview of what that's going to look like in the very early spring or late winter next year. We've got the Bloodgood Japanese maple. Oh, and this is a better angle over here. Hold on. There we go. It's a beautiful blossom. I don't know if it's fragrant, a little bit too tall up, but I thought that would be really nice for a background for the yard. The clivia will start covering again because it's going to be just a little bit too warm for it. Pittosporum tenuifolium back here. And the Chiananthus tree looks like it has fully recovered from that 116-degree day that literally the tree was in full wilt, even though it was watered. And unfortunately, that's what happens when you get those high temperatures. Another bloodgood Japanese maple. Everything else survived the heat pretty well. Looking forward to about 2 more weeks. We'll be below the time period where the temperatures can really spike up, and we can start doing our fall pruning and planting. Got some good ideas for some vegetable garden this year. I've been wanting to do that. Haven't had a fall vegetable garden since I can't even remember, probably since I was a kid. And I want to just do some lettuces, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, things like that, that I thought would be fun and of course healthy for the winter time. You always want to check your low temperatures to see if you can grow those plants in your particular region or zone. Here in Southern California, we're pretty lucky. We can grow things year round. Very rarely do we get even a frost anymore. This is penny royal. No, it's not. It is Corsican mint, and Corsican mint is from the mint family, actually, just as penny royal is. It does generally go dormant during the winter time, comes back in the spring, and it has got a very nice subtle mint fragrance to it. One of the nurseries that I worked at when I was 18 had this all around the base of a lot of the tables, so I added it to my garden just to kind of remember that time period, because that was just one of the smells that you remember from working in the nursery. Other than that, I don't know if there's a whole lot going on in the rose garden. We've got a lot of work to do out here, and I will show you the work that I did earlier this week. But it was not in the rose garden. So you can kind of see the lamb's ears back through here. We've got Perfect Moment, which looks kind of similar to Rio Samba here. Rio Samba is one of those roses too that does really well in the spring, really well in the fall, but really nothing in the summer. This is Fragrant Plum over here. We have a few blooms still on the almond bush. In the very far back, I can't get to it, but that's Tournament of Roses, and they're all budded up to bloom now. One of the best performing plants has been this sweet pea bush. Got it again in a 1-gallon container. It is now about 2 feet tall and 2 feet wide, maybe even 2.5. And it has just stayed in bloom consistently for the entire season. Unfortunately, the plum tree did not make it. We're taking that out. But remember, we found some termites in the tree last year, so we kind of knew that it was kind of coming to the end. We've got still some Leonotis blooms, nice splash of orange. The Rose 49er. It's an old-time 1950s rose. And when you think about the roses and when they were produced or hybridized, you're looking at, and one other side note real quick, look at that catmint back there that we cut back. It's all nice and regrowing. But as I was saying with the roses, even though you might have a hybridization date of 1959, this was a rose that was probably in production as early as the late 1940s. So you can kind of subtract about maybe 10 or 15 years on some of these dates to get you really the date that these roses were created, but not enough material to go out to market. Over here, we do have a few more blooms on the sandback jasmine. The false heather, the white, that has just stayed consistently in bloom again throughout the season. very healthy plants. Not a whole lot of insects attack that. Over here, the variegated oregano. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually today take you out to the front yard. So this is the front side yard area, and the main thing that I've done this week is I've gone through, and this is a long driveway, I have gone through and edged by hand the entire pathway. We're still not to the end of the driveway yet, but all the grass had grown up and literally almost covered all of these bricks here that you see to the lower part of your screen. But I did that all by hand. I'm working on this flower bed next. They meaning the city, moved the light poles recently, so I have a area that needs another iceberg rose bush, and these are going to be pruned back as well during the winter time. A couple of them need to be fed. You can definitely tell the older plants a little bit more established and older. I'm going to be working in this bed next. We still have some off blooms of the roses, like this is Abraham Darby. This is a David Austin rose, one of my favorites for fragrance. Very similar but lighter is English Garden. Stays a lot more compact as a plant. And so we'll prune back the ligustrum. We'll prune back the Cape honeysuckle. We have a few blooms here from one of the roses that we got from Antiques Rose Emporium. I'm not going to try the name because it is a tongue twister. We do have some sedum back here. Of course, sedum comes in a variety of colors, shapes, sizes. This is one that was actually from my neighbors when I was growing up, and so I'm lucky to have part of it now because it always, again, is kind of a remembrance of them. I'm not quite sure what else I want to do for this side over here, but over here I need to cut back the fortnight lilies, and the ficus tree has gotten up above the roof line. That's going to be drastically taken back. Over here, the camellia is going to start budding up pretty soon. In fact, you can kind of see a bud here. Camellias are really sensitive in terms of the time that you prune them if you want them to rebloom. So as soon as they're done blooming in the spring, maybe that's March or April, that's the only time of year where you can really cut the plants back to shape. If you cut after that time period, because of the way the buds are set, and again, you can kind of see them here, they're set at the end of the stems. So if you need to shape them and you cut them, all of a sudden you're cutting the blooms off. So it's really important not to prune camellias this time of year. These are the fortnight lily blooms. The tree also, this is a liquid amber, that got hacked back. Still quite not sure how I feel about that. It was a crazy large tree, probably 60 foot tall. Now it's maybe about 20. And I asked them to leave some of the side branches, and they really didn't. So last year looked horrible. This year we have some leafing out, but I need to go and prune because we don't want branches that low. We're gonna kind of raise the skirt on this, as they say, and start to thin that out a bit too as we get toward the cooler months. That is a native ligustrum. We have the Japanese privet there in the back, and this is just a native seedling that happened to stray into the yard. And then the giant xylosma, that needs a good pruning. Let's not even get me started on that because that's already everything I can probably do for the winter time, of course, with the exception of doing the rose garden. So I've got a lot ahead of me, and I think this is where I'm gonna end the video. So thank you all for watching. I'll be back next week with another garden video.